There were two Democratic primaries yesterday, Kentucky and Oregon. A number of delegates available there. Bernie Sanders won in Oregon. Hillary Clinton won in Kentucky, although barely. Does it even matter anymore? Well, we'll see. And then Lewis will give us a verdict. Let's first take a look at the results from yesterday's two primaries. In Kentucky, Hillary Clinton, as of about half an hour ago, 0.5% ahead of Bernie Sanders, 46.8 to 46.3%, essentially a tie, although, yes, a victory for Hillary Clinton. In Oregon, Bernie Sanders with a more sizable victory, 54.5% to 45.5%, sourced from the New York Times as of mere minutes ago. The delegate counts for yesterday's results differ depending on the website you look at, depending on how they're being calculated. Not every website has given us a final tally of yesterday's delegate awards, but it's mostly irrelevant, Lewis, in the sense that we're talking about plus or minus one or two delegates in either direction. Whether Hillary Clinton came away with 29 or 27 delegates in one of these contests, it's essentially not a factor when we look at how many delegates have already been awarded, how many delegates are left to be awarded.
Yeah, like we said, Bernie Sanders needs, what was it, 80% of every state going forward
in order to clinch prior to the convention, yeah.
Yeah, so if that's not happening, then yeah, the delegates are negligible.
Let's look at the delegate race as of this morning, again, according to the New York Times. Hillary Clinton, this is not with super delegates. We will get to that in a second. This is based on pledged delegates. Hillary Clinton, according to the New York Times, at 1767. That leaves her 616 that she needs in order to clinch 2383 prior to the convention. That is 66% of the remaining pledged delegates. Bernie Sanders, just under 1,500 delegates, needs just under 900, meaning Bernie Sanders needs 96% of the remaining pledged delegates. Now, then you have superdelegates. The superdelegate estimate right now has 524 for Hillary Clinton and 40 for Bernie Sanders. So, Lewis, it's, if you believe the current superdelegate estimates, Hillary Clinton is under 100 delegates from clinching. But let's discuss that. It is absolutely true that the superdelegates don't actually vote. In other words, whatever they say they're going to do, it's not on the scoreboard anywhere until they actually do it at the Democratic National Convention in late July in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So let's talk about this contested convention scenario. What does it actually mean to have a contested convention? Well, there's sort of two definitions. If we're saying, will Hillary clinch prior to the convention, the answer is probably not. It is unlikely she will get 66% of the remaining delegates. It is unlikely she will hit 2383 before the convention. That's sort of a contested convention in a way, Lewis. But what really is meant by a contested convention is that you get to the convention and you do the first round of voting and you still don't have someone at 2383. That is very unlikely to happen. And I know people get mad at me, David, you're acting like Bernie already lost. No, I'm not. I haven't implied Bernie has lost anything. I voted for Bernie here in Massachusetts. Would love it if Bernie won. What I am saying is it is a high likelihood that Hillary Clinton will not wrap this up prior to the convention. But it is very likely that she will get it at the first ballot. So in a technical sense, that would not be a contested convention, but it would be an unclinched situation prior to arriving. Am I having clarity this evening, Lewis?
We have clarity, and that is because the superdelegates will vote proportionately based on however many other delegates were awarded to their, whichever candidate.
Generally
Hillary
speaking.
has more.
Yeah.
And so, well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
Now, what could change this? Well, the remaining primaries could change it. So let's look at the polling for the remaining primaries. We don't really have recent data for a lot of these, but it kind of doesn't matter because we do have data in California. California is 546 delegates. Recently, an average of recent polls has Clinton 51, Sanders 41. Those are not good numbers for Bernie Sanders. In Montana, we don't really have recent data. It's only 27 delegates. New Jersey, 142 delegates, the second biggest prize remaining for the Democrats. 55% Hillary Clinton, 37% Bernie Sanders. New Mexico, Hillary Clinton ahead in the most recent polls. And then in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Washington, D.C., we don't really have recent data. It basically doesn't matter. California and New Jersey is it, Lewis. And Bernie Sanders needs to do extremely, extremely well there. I'm getting tons of emails from people acting like Bernie is just right in this. And I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. If you haven't voted for Bernie and you support Bernie, vote for him. I did here in Massachusetts. But to still act, Lewis, like it's anyone's up for grabs. Well, not really. Hillary Clinton just needs to stay the course and keep picking up about 52 to 54%. And once we have that first round, she's going to clinch this. Bernie needs to do way more than that. So saying it's anyone's game, not really true.
No, but Bernie has to stay the course, too. I mean, once you've made this much progress, really, what is the point of dropping out? You got to stick with it. You got to be confident. He's still delivering his message, giving speeches, and that's important.
And I support that.
I support it, too.
And I don't say I support it in this sort of quaint, like, good for the little guy staying in there to talk to people and give his little message of liberalism. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is this is one of the best alternative to the mainstream candidacies that we've seen. And by mainstream, I don't mean that Bernie's ideas are out of the mainstream. I mean that he is not part of the establishment in the way that Hillary Clinton is. This is one of the best candidacies that we've seen in a long time. And the fact that he has this number of wins is huge. And he is going to be a factor at the convention if he wants to be.
So anyone would stay in it if they were where Bernie is right now. You're right. It looks a lot better for Hillary.
Yesterday at the member town hall, Lewis, the topic of protests at the DNC were brought up. And I have been reading more and more about this morning. There is every indication that if not contested electorally, we are going to have certainly a contested convention in terms of the protests that we are expecting now. And we've been on calls, Lewis, in terms of the credentialing process for the DNC, which we're exploring broadcasting from, et cetera, et cetera. And there's every indication that there are going to be some serious protests. And I am hopeful that these will not be violent protests, no matter who we're talking about.
I hope so. Although we've already seen Bernie supporters try and flip over a car. So anything goes now. But people should be angry. They shouldn't be violent, but they should be angry because there has been a lot of shady stuff from the Democratic Party and the DNC working with Hillary Clinton.
Will that ever be sort of truly addressed, you think?
Not by the party. No way. Not by Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
I saw her last night being interviewed by Wolf Blitzer, and it was bad. I mean, I can't even sum it up, but it was really bad. She was really fanning the flames when talking about Bernie Sanders, accusing Bernie Sanders of not denouncing violence, et cetera, et cetera. It really was getting pretty ugly, and we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. Maybe talk about it tomorrow. Let's take a break. I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. Lewis is on Twitter at Lewis Motamedi. Send me your thoughts.